Bigger, Longer and Uncut is the title given to South Park's 1999 musical. It is a great story, but perhaps the most impressive thing is just how well the music is put together. Some of it is genuinely really good, so good that I even have the CD of the soundtrack, right next to my Eric Cartman Bible. This is not the only music that has been attached to South Park. Season 13, episode 11 featured Cartman singing Poker Face by Lady Gaga. And I'm just gonna say it sounds better than the original. Like, not even joking. I think it deserves a music video to go along with it. And at the end of this, you will see what I think a South Park music video would look like. The first step was choosing a section of the song. I can't do the whole thing as that would take forever. It will take place on a live stage, but I'm going to leave that to the end. First, Cartman. He is obviously the leader of this group, but he has Kyle and Stan backing him up. Everyone keeps asking where Kenny is in these videos. I still refuse to acknowledge his existence. I like adding these highlights to the characters and objects. Even though it looks different to the show, it gives it a more cinematic quality, which will work in my favour. By this point, I'd spent over a day in my studio animating, so I went to a nearby forest to finish it off. Animating Cartman screaming at a microphone while listening to the sound of nature was a strange but welcome contrast. Just don't question it. I even brought my dog with me. Subscribe and maybe I'll feed him. Most of the movements could just be loops that play over and over in the background, like this one that I did for Kyle on the drums. His eyes are slightly reminiscent of anime, so I guess this is e-girl Kyle. Even some of Eric's animations can be looped, as there is a lot of repetition in the song, and it makes sense for him to do the same movement every time he says the same line. Notice how all the characters have been animated without backgrounds. It's time to change that. I wanted to leave this to the end, as I still wasn't sure what I was going to do. I made a test for this moving background, but didn't like it, so I went the slightly more simple, live stage. I found this great model on a CG Trader, which I could put into Blender. Then all I had to do was relight it for my scene and render all the different background plates. The characters could then be put in front of them, but this looks a bit boring. So I'll teach you a trick. It's called adding as many effects as you can. Then you go from something looking like this to something looking more like this. A much better result for not much more work. I ended up doing this for every shot, some being more complex than others. One of the shots needed Cartman to be looking out over a crowd, but I didn't want to animate a whole South Park crowd. So I downloaded this crowd stock footage, made it blurry, enhanced the colours and reduced the frame rate. And honestly, it looks pretty legit. And then finally, as usual, I needed to animate their mouths, which is honestly such a painful process. I've got to make the mouths sync to the audio, then I've got to move them pixel by pixel, frame by frame, to make sure that they line up with the characters every single time. But after all that,
I'll get him high, show him what I got. Can't read my, no he can't read my poker face. She's got me like nobody. Can't read my, no he can't read my poker face. She's got me like nobody. Pop, 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 poker face, pop, pop, poker face. Pop, 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 poker face.